Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Artisan Central podcast. My name is Tim Michael, and greatly appreciate you guys tuning in for another show. You might have noticed we haven't been on the air in a while. That is because we did run out of memory, and we have to wait for that memory to be restored to us. We get a certain amount of memory every month, and when we hit that limit, we don't get to keep recording our shows. So if you enjoy the show and you want to hear more, then please consider donating. You can become a sponsor for the show on our website at artisancentralpodcast.podbean.com, or you can go to our favorite Patreon page, patreon.com/artisancentralpodcast. On there, you can donate per show, and we'd appreciate it. Everything from 25 cents up. We would greatly appreciate any form of help that you can give us so we can continue making the show better. Just to let you guys know, there have been some changes since our last recording, and I want to update you guys a little bit on that. The saddest and the most exciting for us at this point in time would be my good friend Austin. Austin has been my co-host for the last 3 or 4 shows and has been a great friend of mine for a very long time. And Austin gave me a call the other day and let me know that he had some very exciting news. He has been contracted to go and make a puppet show in Germany, if I'm correct. And the guy is just awesome. He is a puppet master, and I've gotten to watch him and be very enthralled by the things that he has done with puppets, including building sets. This guy knows what he is doing, and he is very good at it. So sadly, I'm losing him from the show. He is hanging up his spurs, so my co-host Austin Thompson wanted to let you guys know that he really greatly appreciated the show. He will be still an avid listener of the show, and we do hope to have him back at some point in time, but I do not want to put that extra weight on him. He's got a lot going on. He's going to be starting up a very important puppet show, and I don't want him to have to worry about this podcast when he's moving on with his life. He's trying to take care of his family and really trying to find the success that each one of us as artists are looking for. So that is something that we will hopefully see him succeed in, and I will be checking in on him, and I will let you guys know of his progress. And we wish him well with God's blessings, and I will keep him in my prayers. And if any of you are praying people, please pray for him and his wife as they continue on this next stage in their journey of his success as a puppet master. And it's very exciting. So we hate to lose him. He was my right hand, my right arm, I guess you could say, and really a driving force to keeping this podcast moving. And I hate to lose him, but what a good reason to lose him. I would much rather see him, find his success that way. In other news, I have some very cool new tech that I want to tell you guys about. I am recording right now on a device called the Zoom H6. It is a field recorder. It has 4 inputs on it where I can record with my high quality microphone like I'm using right now, which is my AKG Perception 220, and really love this recorder, and it's really cool. There's so much I could tell you about it, but the big thing is I got to have an interview with a friend of mine named Alex Bangle, and you're going to hear that in the show tonight or today. And as you hear that, you need to understand how much went into setting up just to get that ready. I had him come over to my house, and when he got here, he found 2 microphones set up into a mixer board that was set up into an input-output into the computer that was then set up into the computer itself, and then the computer was recording from its software, and it was an absolute mess with cables going everywhere, and everything was absolutely insane. The cool thing is what I have here is my microphone and my recorder. My microphone is plugged into my recorder. I'm wearing headphones that are also plugged into a recorder, and that is it. No computer necessary. You are hearing everything completely power free. I am not using any power sources, any power outlets. Everything is going right in here into the 4 AA batteries that are in the back of this thing. It is a beast of a machine. I wanted to get this. I've been really dreaming about having this, and I had a couple commissions come through and payment come through on them where I could quickly afford this. So this is going to be the new format that you're going to be hearing me talk through. This recorder is excellent, and it has a built-on microphone, so you might be hearing me driving in the car. You might be hearing me doing interviews out on site. You might be hearing me taking this thing to a friend's house to record my show with them. You never know, but the ability to carry this around with a couple simple microphones and just the abilities are unbelievable, and I would like to share them with you more in the future, and that's something that we will do as time moves on. So let's go ahead and hop over to one of our sponsor segments, and then we will come on back and talk about segment 2, and just kind of talk about what the Artisan Central podcast is really all about.
CrossStitchProductions.com, a multimedia company dedicated to excellence in puppetry and the arts.
Okay, welcome back to segment 2, where we're just going to be talking about a few things. One thing that I really have felt recently as we have recorded the show is that it feels very disconnected, and I'm going to use a fun word, discombobulated. It feels disconnected in a major way, where this is a show for artists talking about art and about the arts. And as we have talked in the past, you might have heard a lot of talking about the iPhone, technology, and just a whole bunch of different things, movies, all sorts of stuff. And you might be going, hey, isn't this supposed to be a show about artists, about art for artists? Absolutely. And I want to make things quite clear for you. There's a motto that I've been really stewing on that I think really makes a point here. And this is the simple fact. I want to talk about whatever inspires you as a artist, as an engineer, as any sort of individual who is in any sort of career that just needs inspiration. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am an artist, and I do a lot of drawings, especially caricatures and cartoons. But I have to admit, that is not my only skill set. I am ridiculously ADD. I can tell you that. I have to keep my hands moving. My brain is always running a mile a minute. I always have stuff going on. I am constantly talking. I never shut up. That's why I'm so good at these podcasts. And and I really want to show you guys a little bit of my life and hopefully inspire other people. I have to tell you guys, I dabble in everything, and I do mean everything. I watch a YouTube video and I want to work on something. Yesterday, I found a YouTube video of a guy sculpting on Facebook. And it was a really good video, and I instantly added sculpting clay and sculpting tools to my Amazon wish list for Christmas stuff. I am just so inspired to try everything, and a brain like mine that's ADD is ready to spread out and find different things and try different techniques and try everything, not just being in one format of art. There are some wonderful people out there who stick to art and hold on to their skill and hone it and refine it, and they just become this powerhouse of skill in their one area that they are super strong at. And I find that's not what I do. I pick up one thing and I try it out and I go, okay, this is good. I got it. And I'll put it to the side and I'll pick up something else and I'll mess with that and I'll put that to the side and I'll keep doing it. And then I'll kind of cycle back and I'll go grab that first thing again and go, hey, well, at least I have the equipment to do all this. And I begin and I go through these processes. That's why I make YouTube videos. That's why I do podcasts. That's why I draw. That's why I paint. That's why I do digital artwork. That's why I want to try sculpting. That's why I do watercolors, acrylics, oil paints. I'm very thinly spread in so many different areas. And I find that just looking at anything, technology, the area around me, YouTube videos, Facebook, Pinterest, DeviantArt, all those different areas, all those different websites, each one of them has a different source of inspiration. And I mean, looking at my cell phone and seeing a new app, everything. So when we come together now in a podcast and we seem to be talking very disconnected and discombobulated, what I really want to make clear is that we are looking for the art in everything. And hopefully by looking for that art in everything, we are also giving inspiration to everyone. And I hope that I'm reaching a very large market and that you guys appreciate that idea, because I really, 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 really want to feel people finding themselves in the show. As we talk, I would love to hear you say, yeah, that's me. That's what I'm going through right now. Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. If you're the ADD mind like myself, or you're that person that is a skilled honed person in their trade. I absolutely love all of you guys, and I want to talk about that stuff, and I want to enjoy it. So you might hear us talk about technology. You'll hear in a minute that my friend Alex and I, we're going to be chatting here in this interview that I had with him. We're going to be chatting about different kinds of websites and different kinds of HTML coding and stuff. What does that have to do with artwork? Well, one thing for sure, if you are an artist, you really do want to get your artwork out there, and you need a website to do that. You need to start somewhere, and there's some great information that Alex has that you'll hear later on in the show. But in any case, in any format, I am inspired by everything around me, and I want to talk about that stuff, and that's partially what this show is about. So if you guys have things that you would like us to talk about, please let us know. Send us an email to the Artisan Central Podcast, just artisancentralpodcast@gmail.com. That's artisancentralpodcast@gmail.com. Okay? And as we get our crew back together, everyone's been very busy. I have one guy, Chris, he's going to school, and he's also at a new job. Shannon, she's going to be off to college, and she has a lot of stuff that she's up to in her life. Everyone is very busy, but when I bring people together, I want to have things to talk about. So as you, as an artist, or as a musician, or as an engineer, or as anything that inspires you, this isn't a very varied show. It is an ADD show spread very thinly across all aspects of anything we want to talk about. I like the way Austin put it. It's a variety show. Or we talk about anything we want, but I do want the artists and people who have a skilled trade, I want them to feel like we're trying to connect with them, and we're trying to inspire them in different ways. I absolutely love looking at other people's artwork online, and I love talking about it. I love talking about the latest technology that's come out. I listen to tons of podcasts on the newest technology that comes out. One of the things that Alex and I were talking about when he came over to the house for us to do our recording, he was talking about his new watch that he had, which is not a Samsung watch, a Microsoft watch. I think it was called the Microsoft Band. Very cool piece of technology. I love technology. I could talk about it all day long. And I find art in that technology. There is some creative minds out there who really buckled down to come out with the new iPads, to come out with the new computers, to come out with the new tablets, to come out with the new phones, the new watches, to come out with my digital recorder that I have sitting next to me here, which is just a piece of ingenuity. There is just so much that we can talk about and be inspired by, and that is so much what I want. You guys hear it in my voice? That's how it is, and that's how it shall be. I'm really excited about everything that this podcast is about. And I really need you guys to get involved. Please feel free to email me. I've had a couple emails. Email me at artisancentralpodcast@gmail.com and let me know what you guys want to talk about. Let me know what you guys are interested in. If you watch some of my YouTube videos and you have any questions, please let me know. More than happy to talk about all that stuff. And we're going to have a good time. That's the thing about this show. We bring in people when we can, and when we can't, I just love talking with you guys, and I hope that you enjoy it too. If there's a certain format that you like about the show, please let us know. We have been trying to do things in segments. We've been trying to make it very varied. And as you can tell right now, this is a very simple, just me and you conversation. And I love having those conversations. I love feeling connected with you guys. Thank you so much for everyone who's been involved on my YouTube channel. It's growing in leaps and bounds. A lot of you guys are really interested in a lot of stuff going on there. If you want to talk about that, let me know. That's one of the ways that I can communicate with you guys. So there's lots of stuff that we have going on here on the show, and I just want to let you guys know what's going on. Simple as that. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at segment 3, where we have our interview with Alex Bangle. This guy is awesome. You guys are going to have a good time with this.
CreatureArtTeacher.com. Learn to draw and animate from artist Aaron Blaze. Sign up for his newsletter using a valid.edu email and receive a special limited time offer for an instant promo code offering 50% off any order.
Okay, guys, hope you've been enjoying the show so far with the Artisan Central podcast, and I got something fun for us today and something I'm going to abuse as much as possible. Got my friend Alex Bangle with me today, and this guy is like the king of all things tech and IT and technology and fun, but one thing that this guy does that I really want to talk about today is websites. Now, you guys might know on my previous videos that I've done, videos and audio and things like that, we've talked an awful lot about, building websites for artists and people trying to make a name for themselves. And I have a bit of knowledge in it, but I really wanted to bring in someone with a lot more experience in that, and that's why I have Alex here. So, Alex, thanks for showing up.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
So, I just want to abuse your brain today and really ask you a lot of the basic questions that someone who's scared of starting in the web needs to know. So, if you got a guy who might not be as computer literate, which immediately puts you in a hard way, but someone who's going, okay, I'm an artist, I do some good drawings, I got a name for myself in the local community, or I just want to get somewhere, and it's time to touch the interwebs. What would he do? What would you suggest?
Right. Yeah, I think if you're not real technical and you just want a quick and easy solution, especially if it's something where you want to put your product first, Squarespace.com actually is a really easy platform. It's a little more expensive than trying to do something yourself, but if you want to get a website up and running, in a day, and their focus is on content. So It's always about putting content first. And then, if you want to continue working on it and get deeper into it, you can do that because you can upgrade to like professional versions, and you can actually go in and edit the code if you get more comfortable with that later.
Sure.
So I would like it. I've used it before for I just need a site real quick. I don't want to really worry about it. I just want to click and drag pictures and be done with it.
Sure.
Works great for that. Like I said, it's a little more expensive than doing it yourself, but I think that's a good solution for somebody just needing to get ready.
So in the terms of the internet community and building websites and stuff, we have a term that we use called WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. Is that kind of a what you see is what you get kind of software from them? Mm-hmm. So that makes it easy. And then what kind of, you're saying that if you want to go a step further and work with more like HTML and things like that, I admit I've learned that there are some very basic codes that help me out a lot. And admittedly, div tag centering, something as simple as that, using a centering div tag or proper understanding of making, links for pictures and things of that nature. That would be a good start. Any suggestions on that, where they would go and learn some of those details?
Yeah. So there's a couple of sources out there. I'll go ahead and put my website out there, which is bestcomputerblogs.com. You can check that out. I have some technical videos that I'll be posting there. I'm currently going through like an HTML training tutorial for that. Besides that, a couple other good websites are w3schools.org. That's a great site. I use that all the time to reference, when you just need to know what that one tag does and what, variables it can take. Great resource there. But no, I think that's, as far as just, direction on a couple HTML code and stuff like that.
Yeah. One of the things that I started a web design service, and that was how my business started. Was doing web design, and I really did not have that much knowledge. And I was working through a WYSIWYG editor, if you will. It's kind of like a pseudo Photoshop, and you guys might not know about this, but it was from a group called Macromedia, and I think they were bought out by Adobe at one time. But it was Fireworks, and you would build websites like you would build designs in Photoshop, and then you would upload them to the web, and that was how I built my websites. The negative is I would sell them to my clients, and when the client wanted to make a change, I had to pull the complete site off the internet. I had to update it and then send it completely back on the web again. A world of trouble. And one of the things that would have helped me a lot would be the basic understanding of CSS. And I got to challenge you guys, if you are people who deal in the world of internet, you really would do yourself a favor to also mess around with some CSS a little bit.
Yeah, I think talking about the whole idea of like you have the local client, you make it, looks great, then you have to publish it. Those are great until your customer or you have multiple people that want to start touching it. And so when you go in that route, then I love to switch over to like the WordPress platform. Because then you have an open source, community supported platform where you can download a theme, get yourself started pretty quick. but then you can go in and change whatever you want. And yeah, CSS is awesome. I mean, I remember writing code where everything I wrote was manual. You know, I want to put a table, I'm going to write all the formatting into the table in every row, and then you learn about CSS, you're like, oh, I can just define these things globally. Yeah. And they apply to the whole site. So if I want to change that color from red to dark red, I make one change and I'm done. And WordPress, most WordPress themes actually do a really good job with that because you can control the CSS from a editor.
Yeah, the pre-built CSS that they already have, and then all you have to do is go in there and they got like it's a very basic editing tool. It's like a single white page that you would say, okay, let's just change this. And it overwrites anything that's already done in the codes without damaging anything. If you were to delete that code from that CSS page that you've created, it would not damage anything else. I think that's really cool.
It just reverts back to the original, which is awesome. You can go in there and mess with it, be like, I screwed up the site, just delete it out. And exactly. You're good to go.
Which is not unheard of for some people. Yeah.
I've done it too.
So, yeah, I did too. So if you guys ever need any help with websites, obviously you got Alex and myself. We'd be more than happy to help you out. We do have a little service that we do provide, and if it goes above and beyond my ability to help you, or I would easily send you over to Alex, and we'd get you hooked up with things if you needed it. So Alex, how long have you been doing web design and things like that? Now, and let me quickly say, you're self-taught, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Everything I've learned has been. I took 3 classes in high school that taught me HTML code. Mm-hmm. And that was, where I learned all the basics of HTML. But since there, it was just, learning the new technologies, keeping an eye out what, was out there when HTML5 and CSS3 came out. It's pretty much, okay, let's, go out there and see what it is. And, primarily just doing it each and every day, having certain tasks, certain things to do. I would say when I first learned about CSS, like that was just like, there's got to be a better way to format a website. Yeah. And then you find it, and then, you continue to build on that. Yeah. You can go to school and you can learn all this stuff, but I admit, if you have the know-how and the desire to want to do it yourself, you're going to put the effort out there. It's a priority choice. And I personally appreciate learning from people around me, and that's one of the nice things about your YouTube channel is you can go to school and you can spend $10,000, $15,000 on a tuition to figure out how to do that, or you go onto YouTube and you learn from guys like Alex and you figure out how to do that yourself. And that's the W3 website that you mentioned, that W3.org. I'm often at my office and I just can't remember that one code. Okay, let me look it up. And the first thing that pops up is W3, and their quick, tutorials that they offer. So that's a really good suggestion there. Getting out there, messing with it, starting to just play around with it, and
don't be afraid to mess up. You will. I'm not going to tell you you're not, because you will, but it's a learning situation. Yeah. What was your first website?
It was bestcomputerblogs.com.
That was the first one you started, or first one you started?
That was the first one I did personally. Was what was it? I think it was just alexbangle.com. Yeah. It was actually my very first website. And then there was a couple websites I worked on for my company. Mm-hmm. And then I did the bestcomputerblogs.com. And, there's been projects in between. Mm-hmm. The company I work for has probably about a dozen websites or so just kind of floating out there. We have like 2 or 3 main ones that have most of the work done on it, and as those marketing comes, hey, we need this done, it's like, all right, well, we'll figure out how to do it. And so that's how a lot of that progression happened.
Excuse me, are you doing a lot of those websites out of Dreamweaver, or are you going through any certain programming?
Almost everything I do now is out of WordPress.
Really?
Just because of the openness of the platform. Mm-hmm. Especially a lot of the stuff I do, especially like I was saying, if it's for a client, like I want to be able to build it and then give it to them.
Sure.
And say, hey, you can now make your own pages, you can make your own posts, and you don't have to call me and pay me to do this little thing.
Sure.
I don't want to be the one that has to go through and type up a page of text. I want to build it and be done with it. So that's what I've used.
Yeah. Well, and that was one of the things that I learned when I was doing web design for clients is really you do want to put it in their hands and say, here, you run your website. Mm-hmm. And that's why we started the whole WordPress side of my business is I want to put the website in your hands. I want to say, okay, you take it over, you run it how you want to run it, and then when you make a mistake, come and look for me. I'll fix it up for you. That way it simplifies things, and they're not waiting on your every whim to get things done, or vice versa. By the way, guys, if you hear wind in our microphones, that's because it's such a beautiful day here in Florida. We have to have the windows open here in the Michael house, and so we're enjoying the weather from the outside of Florida. It's beautiful today, so do not mind that, please. We're not in my studio doing my recording. We're in my living room, so it's been a fun afternoon so far. So now, we were going to talk about websites and things like that. There's only so much you can talk about on the simple side of things. Let's start with not ISPs, excuse me, but hosting services. Squarespace is actually a hosting service.
Yes.
And do they provide the domain as well?
They will provide, if you buy a year of service from them, they'll provide your domain for free for the first year, and then you pay them, to renew it. Now, I don't know I think they probably sublet it out to another company. I don't know what that company is.
Sure.
But you're still going to get a good rate through them, and then it's all in one spot.
Yeah.
So yeah, Squarespace is one of them. I've used GoDaddy a lot for hosting and for domains. GoDaddy, some people love it, some people hate it.
Sure.
A lot of people hate it. But I like that I can have the domain there and that the hosting is there. So if you use a shared hosting plan, it just works. You don't have to worry about configuring DNS for your domain.
Yeah, right.
And they're virtual and dedicated hostings if you need a much larger site.
Sure.
They're not awful. And the price point with GoDaddy is very good. You can get shared hosting with them for if it's on sale, you can get it for $1 a month.
Sure.
Otherwise it's $5-6 a month. And I have right now 8 websites running on a shared hosting plan with GoDaddy.
That's nice.
And they're running fine.
Very nice.
So.
We got my office, we have multiple websites running out of GoDaddy as well. Now, we're not actually running websites. What I've done is I built the website with the domains actually linking into the website in certain different folders. So you'll go into shadowgraphics.net, which is my company's website, and it'll take you to shadowgraphics.net. But then if you go into shadowgraphics.com, we're building other websites right now, and that's linking to a different folder. And so when it comes up, you'll still see shadowgraphics.net/new website or something like that. But I do have multiple websites there. The other thing is my personal websites here at home, the Tim Michael Arts, the LegacyStudioProductions.net, .com, webcomic.com, all the different sites that you guys have seen on my show and everything that I do. Those are actually all a single website as well through hosting.com.
Okay.
Actually, hosting, it was their little sister site. They were bought out, but hostmysite.com is actually what it was. It was suggested by my dad. I think I pay, I want to say I pay about $12 a month for it. So it's a bit excessive, but let me tell you, when my website breaks down, these guys are ready to help you out, and they don't charge you any extra when something goes wrong. They'll work on it and say, okay, put out a support ticket for you. We'll have it fixed in 20 minutes and let you know. So that's really good. But the thing that I have noticed and that I'm trying to find other means for is when we have a WordPress site, there's something called the My SQL server databases. And one of the things that you have to do is if you're going to have more than one WordPress site on your site, you have to have multiple MySQL databases. And a lot of websites, Host My Site, GoDaddy, I believe as well, will actually put a limit on how many you have and then a price point variable. So I'm trying to find one where we can have more than one or two. I think I have 2 databases that I am allowed through Host My Site.
Okay. Yeah, I know on GoDaddy's shared hosting, they have 3 tiers. The first tier, which is going to be the $4 or $5 a month, is one site, one SQL database.
Right.
But then once you go, because I think the one I'm running on is a deluxe tier, and I think I have 100 SQL databases.
Oh, good heavens.
Then you go to premium, which is unlimited,
Sure.
with an asterisk, because there's always some,
Yeah.
unlimited. But yeah, and that's why I've stuck with them, is just because, for not that much. I think their deluxe is like $8-9 a month. Buy it a year at a time, you get 20% off, something like that. And it's fairly flexible.
Sure.
If you know enough to get in there and mess with it.
Now, when you were working for your company and you've moved up through the ranks in your company, and now you're running all their websites, you're running their IT and everything like that. Were you the guy who made the choice on what system you were going to run their websites through, and you designed them and you put them into action for them?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
No, yeah, it started at, when I first started and they learned that I was good at, messing with computers and websites, the site was actually run out of front page, Microsoft front page.
Ooh, yuck.
And so that was the first rendition of it. And then from there, we moved to a pure PHP-based website, which was we could do anything under the sun with it, but it was
quite
pretty much
technical.
me and a programmer that was working for me were the only ones that could touch it. So after that, we were like, yeah, we need something where people can actually get in and add content,
Sure.
because every day somebody wants something added to the website.
Right.
And so that's when we made the switch over to WordPress.
Yeah, you obviously can't keep that updated yourself. You're running how many multiple sites and multiple websites at this, not websites, but servers at the same time, because you're dealing with multiple sides of their business.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then as that continued to grow, we had to move. We moved away from shared hosting to virtual dedicated servers, and then now we're actually running on a fully dedicated, $150 a month plus server.
Sure.
But that's hosting all of the company's websites.
Yeah.
So as you progress, you get more traffic, and one thing to be careful of with WordPress is the amount of plugins that you have. So as we've done more things, our website's really cool, but man, it needs quite a server to churn through all that stuff.
And that's what I found as well. Guys, if you do get involved in WordPress and you want to get some more information, talk to Alex or myself. We do have a series of plugins. I know I do, and I'm certain you do as well, where you need to have a cache that you need to clear from time to time. And there are some things, when I first started with WordPress, I didn't realize some of the things that I wasn't doing. And it would take forever to load a page, and even just to log into let me back up a little. One of the wonderful things about WordPress is the ability of having a control panel that you go into and you edit. There, back in the old days, I'm sure you remember, Alex, you would hop onto Dreamweaver or some other program. You would open it, and it would claim to be what you see is what you get, and you hit a button, and next thing you know, a bunch of HTML code would come up. You would have to work hand in hand to edit the HTML and see it pop up on the WYSIWYG side of things, or vice versa. And it was very uncomfortable and felt kind of disconnected. Well, the WordPress stuff that we deal with now, you log in from any computer, anywhere, onto your WordPress site and onto their control panel. It gives you the ability to add whatever you want to add, whenever you want to add it, and you can do it all there. Whether you want it to be something that you're working with HTML, or whether it be something where you're updating your CSS, or you just want to upload a picture here or there. Really simplifies things, but the thing is, without certain plugins, without certain different features, different widgets, and trust me, you can go crazy with how many plugins you can put in just because of what it does to your site, you will literally wait 30, 45 seconds to load a page. And I remember reading an article where Google says that you will lose a lot of your client base within 1 second if your page does not completely load within a very minimal part of time. And if you go to google.com and you go to that search engine, google.com, their page will come right up. And they make a very valiant effort to get that up right away, first things first.
Yeah, I think that's true. That's very true, because, if there's a certain site you want to get to, you'll wait, for it to load, because you've been there before. You know the quality of it. But if you're going through Google and you're searching for sites and you click on a page and you get a white screen.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to wait 3, 4, 5 seconds, and then you're like, all right, I'm going back, find another one.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I think, definitely you have to have a good quality site, but yeah, you got to make sure the user's not hanging at a white page. And that's, WordPress will be a struggle with that if you make it a very heavy thing. Our site right now is like, our last sites I've built, it's like that 2-3 second load time. And it's like, come on, we can get it down just a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then you run into things where you want the website to look good on a mobile phone and on a desktop, and there's themes out there that can do that, but again, you're just adding more weight.
Right, exactly. Because one of the things I do like is you can also apply a there's different searches, not different searches, what I'm thinking about, different websites where you'll type in your website and you'll hit enter, and it will immediately search and figure out what's causing your site to be so slow. I think Firefox has multiple plugins that you can use that has that kind of feature. And you go through it and you'll realize a lot of the time it's actually not even your website. Sometimes it's how your website, well, let me back this up. It's not your WordPress, but it's how your website is built inside. How many folders do you have that it has to sort through to even get to your WordPress site? And then once it gets to your WordPress site, then it has to find the information to connect it. So you also need to be careful with how you're sorting your folders within your website, period. When you're even doing the basic designs, how you're saving stuff, are you saving stuff down? I know there's a great widget on WordPress, and I forget what it's called, but it will take any picture that you have saved on your site, and it will convert it down, and it will save everything down to a smaller size.
Yeah.
And that's one of the wonderful things about the WordPress community. You can make it look like a professional site. I know the company that you work for, and you would not expect to hear Alex say, yeah, our website is a WordPress site. Because you'd look at it, and I know you would not see a WordPress. You think blog when you think WordPress, and it's completely gone past that by leaps and bounds.
Yeah, we had to make a decision several years ago between WordPress, Joomla, and Drupal. And Joomla and Drupal, there's more stuff you can do with it. But when we really were looking at it, we're like, WordPress is just so simple. And there's so much of a developer community already out there, so that when we need, that plugin to help with images, or we need, a way to, look up a store location using a zip code. I don't have to go code that. I can go pay somebody $100 and, I get 200 hours worth of coding in that plugin. And so that was, really the deciding factor with WordPress. And so, if you're looking to really get in and build a custom, website, I think WordPress is the way to go.
Well, not to mention those pre-built templates, And so let's jump back a little bit, because you guys have been listening for 21 minutes and you're hearing us talk about very expensive things. You can get started for $3, $5, $6 a month, whatever, to have a GoDaddy or have whatever different systems you choose to go with. Pay a couple extra bucks to have your own domain, so alexbangle.com or something like that. And then the ability to say, okay, let me just log in and use a pre-built template, put in some pictures, put in some things, and make it nice and easy. Now, a lot of those pre-built templates, though, on WordPress feel very blogish, if you will. And that's where you need to start understanding a little bit about HTML and CSS. If you don't want to deal with that, that's where you give us a call and we'll see what we can do for you. Depending on Alex's time, depending on my time, we would make an effort. But when outside of that, if you're wanting to do this on your own, that's where you go to Alex's YouTube channel and you take a look at his stuff, or you go look around the web and stuff like that, and start learning some very basic HTML. I suggest learning a couple ideas about div tags, which div tags are much simpler than a lot of our old previous programming. Usually you do everything with tables and things like that, and it would be very tight, and it wouldn't be very flexible for different browsers and things.
Yeah. Now, div tags are awesome.
Yeah.
Actually, in the video series that I'm working on my YouTube channel, I get to the div tags, and I'm like, the div tag by itself is the most boring, invisible, looks like nothing tag in HTML code ever. But through some CSS, it becomes, the backbone of the internet, because it's how you make a website responsive to look great on a 1080 monitor, and it looks great on a mobile phone.
Exactly.
Is through the div tags, because they're so flexible. You can assign stuff to them, you can embed them in each other, and there's all sorts of stuff you can do with them.
Yeah, and the basic formula that you guys need to understand if you're looking at HTML for the first time. I remember how scared I was when I looked at it for the first time. The one thing that you need to remember, and here's the way that I say it, you have an open door and you have a closed door. And you have to close the door for every single open door. So what you'll have is, let's say a div tag. You'll make a div tag, which is basically saying, okay, div, div, and you'll type in this code, and it's 5 letters, open slash or whatever. I don't know the actual term for that.
Left caret.
All right, left caret. And then
I'm sure there's other ways to call it too.
So we'll say left caret, div, and then right caret. And then right at that point, you have told the computer, do this. Now you can program stuff within that, and then you can say, okay, now stop doing this. And that's called closing the door. In my verbal communication, that's not how I'm sure it's done on professional circumstances. And that's where you would just say open left caret div, and actually before the div you'd say left caret / div right caret, and that would close off the code. if you could see it in that simple idea of putting a box and you're coding in between the middle of those two boxes, and you just do that for every single code from top to bottom, you're done. It's as simple as that. Now, when you look at the code, you're like, oh my goodness, it scares me to death. But it's really that simple. And I remember someone in my old church telling me it's just like learning another language, which it kind of is, but it's a simplified language.
Yeah.
The same with CSS. It's the exact same thing of open codes and closed codes, but it has a different feel to it. And you can even mix and combine them in certain combinations and things like that. And if you can understand that, the community opens up and it feels much more available and you can see the usefulness of it. But if you're the guy who is an artist, if you're like my father-in-law designs pocket knives.
Okay.
And he makes these gorgeous knives in Great Falls, Montana. The guy is amazing. And he realized a need that he needed to make a website to put his knives on so he could sell them. And he had to teach himself to build the website so he could sell his knives. So you guys might find yourselves in that same circumstance. You have artwork that you want to sell. You want to get your name out there. You want to sell a product. You want to do, you want to sell instant downloads or something like that. So obviously you have to learn all this stuff. You're in this stage now and you go, where to go now? I would say that Alex and I both agree WordPress is a great start. And different website service providers like GoDaddy and hosting will actually have that pre-built into that. And all you have to do is go in and activate that and attach it to your MySQL database or SQL database.
Yeah.
And then you're ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, a lot of services now make WordPress, they're pretty much one-click installs. Where
Exactly.
You just, install it. It'll take care of the database side of things.
Yep.
And then you just go in and log in and start managing your content.
Yep.
And so it makes it great.
And the more you learn, the further you can go. You might find you want to open up a second website within there. You can either pay more and you can have a separate area set aside for that, or you can say, okay, let's make a PHP form and say, okay, when people come into alexbangle.com, it'll take them to this side of my website. If they log into timmichael.com, it'll take them to this part of my website. And it does the exact same thing. So definitely suggest start off by getting a WordPress, getting it through GoDaddy or hosting my. I use Host My Site, which is like I said, the little sister to hosting.com. Same bunch of providers, great people. They're expensive, but they're worth it if you don't know what you're doing. And then try a template, see what you think of it. If you don't like it, that's when you say, okay, let's learn some coding, let's learn some CSS and HTML, and adjust it and mess around with it a little bit. And one of my favorite things to do is to go into the CSS and say, okay, I have no idea what I'm looking at. This says 2x, whatever, blah, 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 blah. What if I put 6x, blah, 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 blah. Next thing I know, I hit refresh, and all of my text is 6 times the size. And I go, oh, okay. And then from that, I can kind of make my way around my website through my CSS, kind of get a feel about what I'm working with.
Yep. Code starts in 3 ways. It starts as being able to read it, and then it starts as being able to modify it, and then you go into being able to write it. And so, yeah, I mean, you're saying like you go, one of those stages is you're going in and looking at it and like, hey, what if I change this? It's messing around with it, seeing the effect of it. And as you do that, then you're able to go and say, oh, well, I'm just going to add a new line now that I know how these work. So
don't be afraid to tinker. Don't be afraid to tinker. That's the easy way to learn. And I like that thought process, because if you go in not planning to know it right off the bat, you've given yourself a little bit of extra time to figure it out and sort it out in your own brain.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I learned PHP code was, we had a programmer that worked for us, still does work for us, and I'd just go in and read, look through the code, and I didn't never touched any of it because I didn't want to break anything, and then I got the opportunity to actually go in and make a version 2.0 of an application. So I took existing code and improved it, and now I'm writing PHP code. So.
Nice. So take a look at that, guys. I got another question for you though, Alex. I have friends who also do web design, and they deal a lot with HTML5. I admit I haven't. Have you messed with that at all yet?
Very little. At first I heard HTML5. I'm like, what is that?
Exactly.
And then I realized, it's just the next version of HTML code.
So it is an addition to the coding that we already know and love, pretty much.
Yep. So you got like HTML5 and CSS3, and that's just the version number of that. Now HTML5 they added some cool functionality into it. So like form fields used to have to do a lot of stuff in JavaScript, and now actually HTML supports some pre-checking of data. So as you type, sometimes you go to a website and you're typing in something and you'll hit tab and you'll notice it like checks for something, or you click and it checks for something. HTML5 actually has some support for that now.
Nice.
They've also, they've just gone through, I know a lot of the CSS stuff because I've actually had to deal with some of that. They've added like gradients and rounded curves and the ability to add more formatting to the website, and there's more tags available than there was before. But in essence, it's just, there was HTML version 4, now there's HTML version 5. So HTML, all the old code still works, they've just added on new features.
I wondered if they'd actually added some more features on the area of animation too, because I'd seen some Google. I really got a click of it when Google did a Google, .com. You go to their website and they put some cool things on their .com search, and they say, hey, check out the new HTML5 features, and you click on it, and next thing you know, they're taking you through this cool animation, and then they say, type your name in here, and then next thing you know, you're on a map on your street, and it was very dynamic, and I was like, so I'm wondering if they're saying that Flash is becoming less necessary because HTML5 can pull out some of those features.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I think the less we can use Flash and the more we can use, HTML5 and modern CSS, the better, because a lot of mobile phones don't support Flash. And, and as, devices change and stuff like that, you don't want to be tied down to this external application that's needed to run your site. And
Agreed.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff, like the animations and stuff, there's a lot of stuff coming to just simple HTML and CSS.
I love it. I love technology, Alex. I can talk about it all day long. No joke.
Sponsor the Artisan Central podcast. Visit artisancentralpodcast.podbean.com for more information.
All right, guys, well, that's about going to do it for the show. I hope that you enjoyed that interview with Alex. Really had a good time chatting with him, and we will have him back, and I hope to have him back often. He's going to be telling us a lot about the new technologies that have come out, new updates that might have come out for website updates, or who knows. There's lots of areas that he is very knowledgeable that I want to, as I said on the interview, abuse him as much as he's willing to be abused in that sense. And I want to make sure that he is blessed in being on the show with us and experiencing everything that we get to experience. So please make sure you check out his websites. He has started a new YouTube channel and a new website, and it is called the Tech Tip Guru. Make sure you check that out. TechTipGuru.com is his website. It is under development right now, but we will probably see some changes very quickly. He is actually waiting on some artwork from me, so I got some stuff to do for him as well. So I hope that you guys enjoy the show. Please make sure, if you want to hear more, remember we are set on limits and we need your help. We need to get some supporters in here. We would love to have you on board the show and support the show by being a sponsor. You can leave a note for a loved one, or you can talk about your business or talk about your artwork. Anything you want. Take a look at artisancentralpodcast.podbean.com, where you can leave us a message and just donate $5 to be a sponsor, and we will have you sponsor a single segment. If you're a business that has giveaways or has any kind of coupon codes that you would like to use to bring in more sales, please let us know. We would love to be connected with you and offer your coupons and things like that. And that would be by sponsoring a complete show. So make sure that you check that out as well. You can contact me at artisancentralpodcast.podbean.com if you would like to become a show sponsor, and we can help you out getting some more business into your business. And then for all of you guys out there who love the show and want to hear more, we need your help there as well. You can do that by going to the patreon.com/Artisan Central Podcast. It's patreon.com/Artisan Central Podcast. Just donate whatever you can, from 25 cents to however much you want. It is per podcast, so every time we put up a new podcast, you guys will be donating to those. And you can set your limits, so if you can't, donate to 4 shows a month or 3 shows a month, you can set it to whatever limit you want to make sure that we do not go over your budget. If you just want to donate 25 cents a month, we love it. We thank you for it, and you can do that on there and set that limit, and everything will be great. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. Take a look at my website, timmichaelarts.com. You can also take a look at a whole bunch more of our podcasts on iTunes and on Stitcher. And please remember, if you've enjoyed the show, to go ahead and leave reviews of the show. Make sure to keep those reviews clean. We do run a clean show here. Make sure that everyone has clean mouths so that every ear can listen to this show. Thank you very much, guys. I look forward to hearing from y'all. Let me know how your day's going. Give me a chatter up on my email at artisancentralpodcast@gmail.com. Okay? All right, God bless you guys. We will see you next time right here on the Artisan Central Podcast. My name is Tim Michael, and we will talk next time for even more on this show. See you later, guys.